The meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please join me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any correspondence? No correspondence here. Is there anyone who has a question about any of the resolutions on the agenda that weren't subject to public hearings or are going to have a public hearing? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, and we will move on to resolutions. Albert, you get to kick this off.
Be resolved that the town board of the town of Shelter Island hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held on Monday, December 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. prevailing time to hear any and all persons either for or against a local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 53 entitled Docks to update the code to address current environmental conditions, of which provides as follows. A local law amending Chapter 53 entitled Docks to update the code to address current environmental conditions, be it enacted by the town board of the town of Shelter Island as follows. Legislative intent. The chapter shall regulate the use of town-owned docks, piers, wharves, and bulkheads, the size, placement, and use of commercial and private docks, the size, placement, and use of other water-related structures, including but not limited to groins and jetties, and the removal of materials from lands underwater by dredging and other means. The town board of the town of Shelter Island deems it in the public interest to regulate the presence, installation, use, size, impact, and placement of docks and other structures in order to preserve and protect town waters and the environment, while accommodating reasonable use thereof by the general public for general recreational fishing and shell fishing and by adjacent upland owners for access to navigation. Amendment, Chapter 53 Docks is hereby amended by adding or moving within the chapter the underlined words, which there'll be a copy available in the town clerk's office or online. Section 3, Authority. The proposed local law is enacted pursuant to Municipal Home Law Rule, Section 10, and Town Law, Section 130-15. Section 4, Severability. If any section or subsection, paragraph, clause, phrase, or provision of this law shall be adjudged invalid or held unconstitutional by any court of competent jurisdiction, any judgment made thereby shall not affect the validity of this law as a whole or any part thereof, other than the part provisions so adjudged to be invalid or unconstitutional. Effective date, this local law shall take effect upon the filing with the Secretary of State pursuant to Municipal Home Rule. Be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the following notice of public hearing. Summary of the proposed law. The previous version of this chapter was no longer sufficient for the needs of the community and the island's extensive, diverse, and fragile shoreline. This amendment helps to preserve and provide greater access to and use of the precious resource for more of the island's residents. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Be resolved that the town board of the town of Shelter Island hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held on Monday, December 16th, 2024 at 6:01 p.m. prevailing time to hear any and all persons either for or against a local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 126 entitled Vehicles and Traffic to make a certain portion of Waverly Avenue a one-way street, which provides as follows. Local law amending Chapter 126 entitled Vehicles and Traffic to make a certain portion of Waverly Avenue a one-way street. Being enacted by the town board of the town of Shelter Island as follows. Section 1, Legislative intent. The town board finds that a dangerous condition exists on Waverly Avenue between Clinton Avenue and Grand Avenue due to the convergence of the ferry line and vehicular traffic looking to merge into the same. Combined with general vehicular traffic seeking to head north on Clinton Avenue with vehicular traffic heading westerly onto the Heights, therefore, in order to ameliorate said condition, the town board has determined to make Waverly Avenue between Clinton Avenue and Grand Avenue a one-way street in a westbound direction. Amendment Section 126-10 of the Town Code of Chapter 126 Vehicles and Traffic is hereby amended by adding the underlined words as follows. And in Section D, it adds the words Waverly Place to the street, westbound in the direction of travel, and location from Clinton Avenue to Grand Avenue, making it one way. Severability. If in any section, subsection, paragraph, clause, phrase, provision of this law shall be adjudged invalid or held unconstitutional by any court of the competent jurisdiction, any judgment made thereby shall not be affected by the validity of this law as a whole or in any part thereof, other than the part provision so adjudged to be invalid or unconstitutional. Effective date, this local law shall take effect upon the filing of the Secretary of State municipal pursuant to municipal home rule law, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the following notice of public hearing. The summary of the proposed law is that the purpose of this local law is to ensure safe vehicular and pedestrian traffic on Waverly Avenue by making it one-way westbound street. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas Andrew Mark, 7 Larry Lane, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for a wetlands permit to remove existing porch, shower, storage bin, and concrete, construct a new dwelling addition, 19.4 feet by 7.9 feet, 53 square feet, on the north side of the existing house, construct a new pool, 18 feet by 8 feet, 144 square feet, and porch, 27.7 feet by 36.2 feet and 67.5 feet by 10.8 feet in an L, 1,271 square feet on the east, south sides of the dwelling. Install a Fuji Sen 7 IAW OWTS with precast leaching galleys and install 8-foot by 3-foot dry wells for management of runoff and pool backwash as per plan submitted by Barrett, Bonacci, and Van Weel PC dated March 18, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 129-7 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, a public hearing will be held at 6:04 p.m. prevailing time on Monday, January 27th, 2025 in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed application. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas Mark Lumley, 8 Margaret's Drive, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for a wetlands permit for renovation of and additions to existing family dwelling, first floor footprint to remain and modify second floor, add living space to accessory building, replace existing conventional septic with new IAOWTS as per design plan submitted by Sherman Engineering dated August 24, 2023, and architectural plan submitted by London Architecture and Design dated July 1st, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 129-7 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, a public hearing will be held on Monday, January 27th, 2024 at 6:06 p.m. prevailing time in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed application. So moved.
The January 2025,
Read that.
27, 2025.
Oh, sorry. January 27, 2025, sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas Marina Horn, 70 Tuttle Drive, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for a wetlands permit to remove existing single-family dwelling, cesspool, well, and replace with new building to be on same footprint as existing, and new septic to be IA on-site wastewater treatment system, further from Cuckold's Harbor than existing cesspool, new dwelling to be taller and have more square foot living area than existing, number of bedrooms to remain consistent as per plans submitted by Sherman Engineering dated July 24, 2024, and Stell Lamont Rouhani Architects, excuse me, dated June 13, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 129-7 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, a public hearing will be held on Monday, January 27th, 2025 at 6:08 p.m. prevailing time in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed application. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas William Cummings, 3 Bevan Place, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to install a mooring at a location designated as latitude 41.08547 degrees north and longitude -72.3595 8 degrees west. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 90-5 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, public hearing will be held at 6:06 PM prevailing time on Monday, December 16th, 2024, in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas an application for site plan approval was submitted by the Perlman Music Program on July 5th, 2024, to make certain improvements to the existing instructional music camp facility, including 1, renovations and improvements to existing buildings, 2, demolition of select existing buildings, 3, construction of new buildings, which would increase the overall square foot living area, SFLA, by 22,093 square feet from 47,833 square feet to 69,926 square feet. 4, relocation and construction of walkways. 5, improvements to existing internal driveways/roadways. 6, expansion of parking areas for 67 formalized spaces. 7, establishment of a courtyards, landscape areas and revegetated areas. 8, temporary improvements to the existing tennis court/performance area and future conversion to a permanent open-sided performance space with a green room to accommodate loose seating of approximately 300 people. 9, ADA improvements, including access to the roadway, parking, pedestrian pathways, buildings, and performance space. 10, new truck delivery area and improved trash/recycling area. And 11, infrastructure upgrades, including the installation of IA on-site wastewater treatment systems, the project. Whereas the project is located at both 73 Shore Road, 7.79 acres improved with 21 existing buildings where the camp, in the main, is currently being operated, and 65 Stearns Point Road, 20.44 acres, improved with 6 cabins/cottages and a shed, Shelter Island, and both are located within the AA zoning district. Whereas due to the proposed parking of 67 total spots pursuant to Town Code Section 60-12B3, the project was deemed a Type 1 action for State Environmental Quality Review Act purposes. Whereas on November 19th, 2024, the town board is lead agency after review of the FEAF and analysis from PW Grosser Consulting, Inc., the town's environmental analyst determined that the proposed action will not result in significant adverse impacts to the environment and adopted a negative declaration. Whereas the application was referred to the Suffolk County Planning Commission and they deemed it a matter of local determination. Whereas the subject application was referred to the building department, the office of the town engineer, and the planning board, and reports therefrom were issued and taken under consideration. Whereas on August 5th, 2024, August 26th, September 16th, and October 28th, 2024, there were public hearings held on the subject application where public comments were received and taken under consideration. Whereas the town board has reviewed said application with regard to the standards of review enumerated in Town Code Section 109-3, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby approves the subject site plans for the Perlman Music Program to make certain improvements to an existing instructional music camp located at both 73 Shore Road, Suffolk County Tax Map 700-13-2-31, and 65 Stearns Point Road, Suffolk County Tax Map 700-13-2-32.1, as shown on the 73 Shore Road site plan prepared by F. Michael Hemmer, dated March 27, 2022, last revised on June 12, 2024, and the 65 Stearns Point Road site plan prepared by F. Michael Hemmer, dated August 7, 2022, last revised on June 12, 2024, subject to the following conditions. 1, the procurement of the Town of Shelter Island Zoning Board of Appeals special permit approval to operate an educational institution and full compliance with any conditions imposed therein. 2, full adherence to the revegetation plan, sheet L5.2, prepared by LaGuardia Design Landscape Architects dated July 11, 2024. 3, full adherence to the revegetation plan, sheet L5.3, prepared by LaGuardia Design Landscape Architects dated July 11, 2024. 4, full adherence to the drainage and grading plan prepared by JRH Consulting Engineers, DPC, last revised June 16, 2024. 5, full adherence to the photometric site lighting plan prepared by JRH Consulting Engineers, DPC, last revised June 16, 2024, and any and all lighting to be in conformity with Town Code Chapter 83 entitled Lighting. 6, full adherence to the sanitary layout plan prepared by JRH Consulting Engineers, DPC, last revised August 15, 2024. 7, full adherence to the architectural plan set prepared by Slonick Architecture and Design Partnership dated
October 30th, 2023. 8, full adherence to the forthcoming Suffolk County Department of Health Services wastewater approval. 9, all facilities/work vehicles shall be screened from public view when parked. 10, the 65 Stearns Point internal roadway shall meet any and all New York State fire apparatus access road standards. 11, any internal walkways and drives shall be made of environmentally sensitive permeable material. And 12, no construction shall occur on Sundays. And 13, proposed cabin number 27 located on 64 Stearns Point Road shall be relocated from the western side of the proposed internal roadway to the eastern side of the roadway. Any of the above referenced conditions shall be amended in conformity therewith. So moved.
Second?
Discussion, just the original resolution had eastern side and western side. It actually was flipped when we looked at the plans for the meeting. So that's why that change was made. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Did I second it? Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yes. Because then we called for the
Whereas an application for site plan approval was submitted by the Shelter Island Public Library Society on September 19, 2024, to construct a 5,830 square foot, two-story addition to an existing 6,285 square foot library facility project located at 37 North Ferry Road, Shelter Island, which is located upon a 55,341 square foot lot and located within B1 zoning district. Whereas the project will necessitate the increase of on-site parking from 21 to 46 stalls, including 14 land banked. Whereas due to the increase in the parking pursuant to Town Code Section 60-2B3, the project was deemed a type 1 action for a state environmental quality review. Act proposes, whereas on November 18th, 2024, the town board, as lead agency, determined that the proposed action will not result in significant adverse impacts to the environment and adopted a negative declaration. Whereas on October 22nd, 2024, October 28th, 2024, and November 6th, 2024, there were public hearings held on the subject application where public comments were received and taken under consideration. Whereas the subject application was referred to Town of Shelter Island Building Department, Town Engineer, Planning Board, Conservation Advisory Council, Hampton's Environmental Land Planning, and PW Grosser Consulting, Inc., and reports therefrom were issued and taken under consideration. Whereas the town board has reviewed said application with regard to the standards of review enumerated in Town Code Sections 109-3. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town board hereby approves the subject site plan for the, there's an extra word here, for the Shelter Island Public Library Society to construct a 5,830 square foot, two-story addition to an existing 6,285 square foot library facility with 46 total parking stalls, including 14 land banked, located at 37 North Ferry Road, Shelter Island, as shown on the site plan prepared by Beatty Harvey Coco Architects LLP, dated January 25, 2024, last revised on November 12th, 2024, the revised site plan, subject to the following conditions. 1, full adherence to the pending Suffolk County Department of Health Services Office of Wastewater Management Commercial Wastewater Approval. For example, drinking water treatment and on-site sanitary systems. And full satisfaction of any conditions and/or changes required thereof. 2, any changes to the revised site plan as required by the pending Suffolk County Department of Health Services Office of Wastewater Management Commercial Wastewater Approval shall necessitate further review by the town board pursuant to Town Code Section 109-11, entitled Amendments. 3, once the facility is constructed and receives all necessary approvals, it shall not be used in a manner inconsistent with the room capacity, density, and use approved by the Suffolk County Department Health Services Office of Wastewater Management, Commercial Wastewater Approval. And 4, once the facility is constructed, it shall not be used unless and until all other required governmental approvals are procured. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Just a quick shout out to Tim Sheehan. He made himself available to me for the last 4 days and took all my phone calls.
Whereas a wetlands application was submitted by Deborah R. Skolnick and David C. Lopez on June 24, 2024, to construct a second-story addition to an existing dwelling with a total of 21 square feet of same located within the vegetative buffer and 156 square feet located within the adjacent regulated area, located at 64 Gardner's Bay Drive, Shelter Island, which is located upon a 36,544 square foot lot located within the A zoning district. Whereas the applicants received a letter of no jurisdiction from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation dated January 27, 2023. Whereas pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, the project is a type 2 action. Whereas on October 28, 2024, a public hearing held on the subject application where public comments were received and taken under consideration. Whereas the subject application was referred to the planning board and the town environmental consultant. And I think that should be consultant. And reports therefrom were issued dated October 8, 2024 and September 26, 2024 respectively, and taken under consideration. Whereas the town board has reviewed said application with regard to the standards of review enumerated in Town Code Section 129-5, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board finds that the project meets the standards enumerated in Town Code Section 129-5 as the encroaching square footage of the second story addition into the regulated area is within the existing footprint. It will not create a risk of impairing the function and value of the subject wetland, nor diminish it in size, and therefore are no other practical alternatives. It is a highly constrained lot. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby approves the issuance of a wetlands permit to construct the subject addition located at 64 Gardner's Bay Drive, Shelter Island, as shown on the wetland site plan prepared by Sherman Engineering Consulting, PA, dated April 30, 2024, subject to the following conditions. The existing vegetative buffer shall perpetually remain in a manner as reflected in the photos included in the subject application. Downspout shall be installed from the roof in the subject dwelling and piped into dry wells as required by Town Code Section 123-12. The existing drain pipe that runs adjacent to and over the subject bluff and drains behind the bulkhead shall be redirected and into the dry wells referenced in condition number 2. A wire-back silt fence shall be installed along the immediate downslope edge of development, entrenched at a minimum of 6 inches and maintained until the building department approves removal of same. And 5, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, the town's environmental consultant, upon written request from the applicant, shall conduct an inspection and advise the building department as to whether the above conditions have been satisfied. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas the public hearing was duly held on the 28th day of October 2024 on the proposed use of approximately $65,000 in federal community block grant funds the town of Shelter Island expects to receive in 2025, And whereas all interested town residents express citizens' views on local needs to be met with these funds, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby determines that the use of said funds shall be designated as follows: $30,000 toward a housing survey to update the community housing plan, $5,000 toward CAS Mobile Food and Pantry Resource Center satellite program on Shelter Island, $20,000 towards the ADA ramp at the town-owned facility at Goat Hill, and $10,000 towards deer meat butchering to be distributed via CAST. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas General Municipal Law, GML, number 239, requires the referral of certain proposed planning and zoning actions to the Suffolk County Planning Commission by local towns and villages within the county, and whereas GML also allows for the county to enter into an agreement with a referring body or other duly authorized body of the town or village to provide that certain proposed actions be deemed matters of local rather than intercommunity or county-wide concern, and therefore not subject to referral. And whereas the town of Shelter Island has proposed a litany of actions which are consistent with the intent of GML and represent matters of local, not countywide concern, and whereas the adoption of an intermunicipal agreement would streamline the referral review process without any compromise to countywide or intercommunity planning considerations, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the above, the Suffolk County Planning Commission considers the following list of actions to constitute matters of local determination which are not subject to the referral process: all area variances associated with single-family residences, changes of one permitted use to another with no changes in parking requirements, i.e. retail to office, minor additions less than 1,000 square feet with no change to use or occupancy, site plan applications proposing less than 5,000 square feet of new or renovated floor area or less than 10,000 square feet of land disturbance. Exception: actions that have been given a positive declaration pursuant to SEQA or actions involving property abutting state or county parkland, the Atlantic Ocean, Long Island Sound, any bay in Suffolk County or estuary, or any of the foregoing bodies of water shall be subject to the full review process. Be it further resolved that the town/village clerk is directed to forward a copy of this resolution to the Suffolk County Planning Commission and to the Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals of the town of Shelter Island. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to to execute the agreement between the town of Shelter Island and Cullen and Danowski for the provision of financial accounting services for the town for the period of January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2025. For the sum of $59,700. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Quick
Aye.
question.
Oh, you want
Just-
discussion?
Just a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Are these the guys that also do the audit?
No.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah. Okay.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign any and all documents in connection with the retainer agreement between the town of Shelter Island and Peter Johnson for the 2025 tax legal proceedings. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas Chapter 18 of the Town Code entitled Personnel Policies governs certain non-union employee rights and obligations, and whereas Section 18-4 of the Town Code entitled Longevity states as follows: employees hired prior to May 13th, 2016 shall be paid longevity as follows: after 5 years of service, 5% of the base salary; after 10 years of service, 10% of the base salary; after 15 years, 15% of the base salary; 20 years, 20% of the base salary. Employees hired May 13th, 2016 or after shall be paid longevity as follows: after 5 years, $1,000; after 10 years of service, $2,000; after 15 years of service, $3,000; after 20 years of service, $4,000. These payments are non-cumulative and shall apply to all employees covered by this agreement. Longevity will be based upon the date of employment and shall be paid in a lump sum each year on the employee's anniversary date of employment included in the regular paycheck. Whereas longevity is more favorable for employees hired prior to May 14th of 2016 versus those hired after, and whereas to retain employees and make it more equitable for new hires, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Section 18-18 of the Town Code, Section 18-4, shall be amended as follows. And we're striking, so it says 18-4 longevity, employees shall be paid longevity as follows: After 5 years of service, 5% of the base salary. After 10 years of service, 10% of the base salary. After 15 years of service, 15% of the base salary. After 20 years of service, 20% of the base salary. The rest is stricken. These payments are non-cumulative and shall apply to all employees who work at least 30 hours weekly. Longevity will be based upon the date of employment and shall be paid in a lump sum each year on the employee's anniversary date of employment. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas the Chief of Police, Emergency Management Coordinator James Reed requested permission from the town board to include a tax bill enclosure regarding resident sign-up for electronic emergency notifications. Whereas the town board reviewed said enclosure and has determined that such request would benefit the residents of the town of Shelter Island by increasing the emergency awareness. Whereas pursuant to Town Code Section 115-26A, the town board has the authority to grant such a request. Now therefore be it resolved that the tax receiver may include an enclosure within tax bills regarding resident subscription for electronic emergency notifications. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas on November 18th, 2024, John Spinelli submitted his resignation in writing from all of his town positions, including school crossing guard, detention attendant, and court officer. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Shelter Island hereby accepts the resignation of John Spinelli from the positions of school crossing guard, detention attendant, and court officer, effective retroactively to the end of business, November 18, 2024. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas pursuant to section 31H of the Public Officers Law, a town official must sign and file a constitutional oath of office within 30 days after the term of office begins. And whereas Cal Lewis was appointed to serve as an on-call as needed fit aide, and whereas the above mentioned person has not yet signed and filed said constitutional oath of office, and whereas the town board desires to have the aforementioned person serve on the town of Shelter Island in their designated capacities, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby appoints the aforementioned person to their designated position. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to deposit the sum of $2,494.44 from the North Ferry Company, Inc. to the A3120.100 PS Police Department General Ledger account for the reimbursement of unscheduled and overtime hours for traffic control duties that occurred for the year of 2024. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to deposit the sum of $61.46 from Ready Refresh to the Youth Center General Ledger account A7320.408 for 2024 bottle refund deposits that were not credited to the account. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be it resolved that the following budget transfers are hereby approved. $720 from A6772.440 nutrition maintenance to A6772.484 office and miscellaneous. $720 from A6777.200 senior center equipment to A677.484 office and miscellaneous. $2,000 from A8510.485 Taylor's Island Shed to A8510.408 Smith Cabin Repairs. $18,041 from A3120.100 Police Department Personnel Services to A3120.100 Police Department Overtime Account, and $185.93 from A1330.414 Tax Receiver Postage to A1330.476 Computer Software, and $20,000 from B8030.486 Saltwater Intrusion to B8030.487 Water Testing. So moved.
Second. Discussion?
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about, Amber. Why, I mean, the saltwater intrusion. And when we talked about that at the budget hearing, I had issue with it. And that is part of the budget for the USGS saltwater intrusion study from 8 years ago, a continuation of that. You assured me that you had talked to the chairman of the WAC that this was not an issue. So why, what is this? Why is this here?
Because we had discussed, and the three of us had agreed that we would allow it to be used for water testing. This resolution was drafted a week or so ago, and so
So I was not here for the discussion. You guys discussed it and approved it. Okay. I wish you had waited just for further discussion about it. We don't even have a proposal for what,
well, and this,
What it
I mean,
is.
this was drafted a week or so ago, so we didn't strike it from here because at the last WAC meeting, it's not likely that the water testing is going to get started until 2025. So we're not actually going to end up spending this money in either the saltwater intrusion line or the water testing line. So it will roll forward to 2025. And so we will continue the conversation in 2025.
And it's also not being earmarked for the water testing that is generally talked about right now, I assume. And,
wait a minute, do you know that?
well, we're going to talk about it right now.
Okay, all right.
Because there's no real plan to do any water testing right now.
Correct, yeah. I mean, so if we want to, we could just strike that line from this resolution because it's not needed.
Why don't we keep it there? Why don't we keep it where it is in the
Yeah, so we can
USGS?
Strike that line.
Okay, all right,
We can
let's
just
do
strike the
that.
line. Yeah, because it's not going to happen this year.
Strike line. Do I have to read it again?
No.
Say as amended.
As amended, so moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
be it resolved that the following budget modifications are hereby approved. $15,000 increase to the A7310.400 Youth Recreation Programs, $12,000 increase to the A2001B Recreation Fees Youth, $3,000 increase to the A2001C Recreation Fees Fit Center, and $4,778.02 increase to the A2770 Miscellaneous Revenue to be funded by the refund check from Perillo Hill LLP for an error relating to duplicate expense entries and an increase to the A1010.497 Town Board Professional Services. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be it resolved that the 2024 general claims number 2062 through 2237 in the amount of $186,107.16, 2024 highway claims number 275 through 303 in the amount of $236,996.91, 2024 community preservation funds claim number 24 through 28 in the amount of $23,796.83, and 2024 water quality improvement claim number 29 in the amount of $7 are hereby approved for payment as audited, and the supervisor and/or any town board member is hereby authorized and directed to sign the approval of payment of the same. So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
Discussion.
Just another question.
Uh-huh.
This first number, the 180, my sheet is 187,000.
Uh-huh.
Meg's at 186. Was there a change or
It's 180.
It's 187.
it's 187?
I'd say 187, yeah.
You just had a,
Did I?
you might have said 186.
I might have said 186, but
I
it says
wasn't sure if I
187
heard
on the
that.
paper.
I was reading
Okay.
it, but I heard.
I might have read it
wrong.
wrong.
Clarification understood.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, we will recess the regular meeting and open the public hearing from Joseph Brantuck on behalf of the Shelter Island Boatyard.
Ready.
6:02 PM prevailing time on the application of Joseph Brantuck on behalf of Shelter Island Boatyard, 61 South Mananic Road, to construct 279 linear feet of vinyl bulkhead in place of 272 linear feet of existing timber bulkhead, including 25 linear feet in place of existing 25 linear feet, 133 linear feet in place and 6 inches higher than existing 133 linear feet, 16 linear feet in place of existing 17 linear feet, 66 linear feet in place of, and 12 inches landward of existing 58 linear feet, north and south sides of Hall Outslip, 19 linear feet in place of and 4 foot landward of existing 18 linear feet west of Hall Outslip, and 20 linear feet in place of existing 21 linear feet. Excavate 12-inch by 29-foot upland areas landward of 29-foot sections of bulkhead being replaced 12-inch landward to a maximum depth of -4 feet mean low water, and use approximately 9 cubic yards of resultant earth and spoil material as backfill. Extend existing 16.5 feet by 29 feet haul out slip 4 feet west, thereby creating 6.5 feet by 33 feet haul out slip by excavating 4 foot by 19 foot upland area between existing 18-foot bulkhead to be removed and proposed 19-foot vinyl bulkhead located 4 feet landward to a maximum depth of -4 feet mean low water, and use approximately 30 cubic yards of resultant earth and spoil material as backfill. Replace 2 existing 32 linear feet wide flange beams travel rails with 38 linear feet wide flange beam travel rails. Remove and replace 12 foot by 24 foot portion of existing concrete slab west of haul out slip and install 4 foot by 12 foot steel pad. Remove and replace in place and 6 inches higher existing 8 foot through 14 foot wide wood boardwalk landward of 133 linear feet bulkhead. Remove and replace existing 3 foot by 5 foot wide wood boardwalk on north side of haul out slip. Incidentally dredged 12 foot wide and approximately 2,539 square feet area adjacent to all replacement bulkheading to a maximum depth of -4 foot mean low water, and use approximately 145 cubic yards of resultant spoil material as backfill. And remove and replace in-kind in place adjacent curbing parking area and landscape wall as needed as per plans prepared by Jeffrey Butler dated September 12, 2024.
The report from the Waterways Committee last week, it was unanimously approved. So we'll open the hearing, and I see we have Robert Herman on, probably representing the applicant.
Yes, thank you, Amber. James Brantuck, I see, is also on, and the contractor Ian Crowley is on. I am joining you from this dimly lit hotel room with in and out Wi-Fi service from vacation. So if for some reason I cut out, I'll ask Ian to pick up. But basically, this is for the most part a replacement project for Island Boatyard. It is in-place replacement of various stretches of bulkhead, as was just read in the project description. On the long side of the property by the buildings, the bulkhead will go up 6 inches. That will remove what is currently sort of an awkward step down between the boardwalk and the decking behind it. That'll end up matching the bulkhead on the landward side adjacent to the slip. And really the main renovation part of this is really the landward extension of the existing haul out slip by 4 feet. So basically there'll be 4 feet more waterway in that slip in place of what is existing parking area with adjustments made to the back side of that. So that's going to improve the efficiency, the condition, the capacity of that haul out slip, which will be of great benefit, of course, to their operation there. We do have all the other required regulatory approvals in hand: Army Corps of Engineers, New York State Department of State Coastal Resources Division, New York State DEC. The town, I believe, has copies of all of those permits. And I believe Ian is hoping to start work in December. So this is our last stop, and we hope that we'll be able to obtain the town board's approval tonight after we did get unanimous approval from the WMAC last week. And if you have any questions, I can try to answer them. If you have any technical questions, Ian might be better suited than I.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the table?
No, I thought it was a clear application.
That's straightforward.
I mean, it's long because it's a big waterfront piece of
Yes.
complicated docks.
Yeah, pictures tell a better picture, a better story. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this? Anyone in Zoom?
Go ahead.
There's no one on Zoom, so it's you.
Just a question. You still there?
I am, yep.
Oh, okay, thanks. What do you do with the dredge spoils?
But Ian can confirm, but I believe the plan calls for all of the dredge spoils to be retained on site as backfill behind the replacement bulkheading. So that will not be taken off site. Is that correct, Ian?
Yeah, that's correct. There's been a significant amount of loss just from, the sheets being rotten out in front of the long stretch in front of the restaurant. And then, raising it 6 inches kind of allows for that 4-foot piece, which really isn't dredge spoil because it's buried fill, but all the dredge spoil will be used behind the new bulkheads.
Retained on site, correct?
And remain on site.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Anyone else? All right. I'll make a motion to close that hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks for hearing us.
Thank you very much.
We will return to the regular meeting then, and we have one resolution. I'll read it. Whereas Joseph Brantuck, on behalf of the Shelter Island Boatyard, 61 South Mananac Road, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to construct all of the things that Amber read earlier. I'm not going to reread them. As per plans prepared by Jeffrey T. Butler dated September 12, 2024, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to NYCRR 617.5C2, this application is deemed a type 2 action. Reasons supporting this determination: the proposed dock, 1, will not cause an obstruction into navigable channels or an interference with navigation. 2, will not adversely affect the public's right to use town waters or land under town waters. 3, will not adversely affect shell fishing grounds or other aquatic wildlife which may exist in the immediate area. 4, will not adversely affect the quality of the tidal waters, shorelines, or beaches. 5, will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent residents, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to issue a permit for the aforementioned construction as per specifications filed after said applicant pursuant to section 53-9 of the code of the town of Shelter Island has filed with the town clerk a certificate that the owner has at least $300,000 liability insurance on the location and operations covered by said permit, a copy of the contractor's current home improvement contractor's license, and a certificate from the contractor performing the operations covered by said permit, that said contractor has an owner's/contractor's policy issued in favor of the town of Shelter Island for the liability limits of at least $500,000 covering operations of the contractor pursuant to said permit, and be it further resolved that said operations shall be completed within 1 year from the date of issuance of this permit. Said permit is subject to the recommended limitations and any requirements that may be necessary under the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the Army Corps of Engineers, and any other agencies having jurisdiction. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, that is it for tonight. Make a motion to close the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. See everyone tomorrow.